Well, gracias. Thank you for coming to this class. We call it Mobilizando a los Latinos, Mobilizing Latinos. And because it's so hard to do the PowerPoint, I think I just put it here in writing. So I think it's much better. So that way you take it. But one of the things I want to say here is the ultimate goal of mission mobilization is expansion of the kingdom of God among all least reached people groups. Let me grab this really quick. I think it might be better. Instead of having it in my hand. But one thing that's important, I think, to highlight is number one is the challenges for the Latino church. The least evangelized part of the world it's home to 86% of ethnic groups. Some 1.1 billion people of those 2% are Christian. So there is millions of people that I think that's clear to us that do not know Jesus Christ.
So wait a minute. Are you saying that Latin America is the least evangelized?
No. What I'm saying is that's a challenge for us as Latin Americans. Okay. So not only for Latin Americans, for anyone. Okay. So this is like data for missions.
Right. Okay.
So, but that is a challenge for the Latino church. Yes. So, because what I want to say here is, this is not a challenge for only the Anglo church. This is a challenge for us as Latinos. So the world is lost. And I think we have a role, and that's what we'll see, that we do have a role that we could fulfill on this challenge that there is. Now, 32% of the world population has no opportunity to hear the gospel. 680 million people, 66,000 people die every day without access to any gospel. So when you see that, that is a challenge, not only for the American church or the English church or the Chinese church, for any church. But what I'm saying is I think Latin America, it's waking up to missions. Their solution, it's like in 1987, Mr. Bush started Comiban. I don't know if you heard of Comiban. It was a mobilization of mission agencies in different parts of Latin America. Since then, it's grown because now Latin America is it's mobilizing Latino missionaries who are going to the least evangelized countries. Now we believe, like one of the solutions is that Latin American missionaries are a strategic part and can be allies to carry out the fulfillment of the Great Commission in the world. Yeah. I think it's challenging because of, especially we'll see that some of the problems that we have, but I think it's important to highlight that Latin Americans could be key for the evangelization.
It's better than gringos in the Muslim world.
In the Muslim world, exactly. Well, this is the challenge. You send a Latino missionary. Look at this guy that was just here, right here, Aaron. He works in the sound. Aaron, he said his parents were from Mexico. His grandpa. You look at him and say, well, you look Jewish. You look Arabic. Right. The beard, the way, I mean, even myself, I will fit in because I think I'm too old to go now. But it is a lot of people that we're, like, if you look at the people that are going, like this guy that I mentioned, the message David, he looks Arabic. So he blends in a lot easier. That's why.
The Arabs controlled.
Right, exactly, for 400 years. More than 20,000 cross-culture. Who knows how many are they? But people, this is a number I found. 20,000 cross-culture missionaries working in Muslim world, in many in Africa, in Middle East, Asia. Right now, we as a mission, we have 43 that are appointed already. Many of them are in North Africa, Asia. We got like Dominicans going to India. One Dominican is going to Kyrgyzstan. And the funny thing is that this guy, he doesn't speak the language, but he's trying to learn the language and trying to blend in. He'll not be able to blend in because it's very different. Kyrgyzstan, it has Russians, and then you have the Mongolian. So you got the Asiaticos. So it's quite a mix. So, but there's many missionaries who are going into the world from Latin America. Hi, welcome.
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Estoy aquí para ti.
Ah, qué bueno. ¿Habla inglés o español?
Ambos. Inglés y español.
Okay, muy bien. So the needs are, thank you. Latin American churches are realizing the need to fulfill the Great Commission throughout the world. And there is a movement, like right now, about 2 years ago, no, it was 2017, I went to Comibam. There was a big movement in 2017 for Comibam. Was kind of like their every 10 years they do a big conference. So this time was actually it's every 5 years. But now they had it in Colombia. So I went and I met a lot of missionaries who were going out. And one of the challenges I found was that a lot of them were raising support. They will tell people, if you want to support me, send me the money to my bank account. This is the bank account. And I said, that's not going to work in America.
Right.
If people will not send you money. They want to see that you have a umbrella, that you have somebody who's supervising you, somebody who is kind of like giving you some kind of structure. So I told my assistant when I came back, and I say, Chris, I want you to look for mission agencies in Latin America. I want you to do research. How many mission agencies are there? Well, he found over 700 mission agencies who are working in Latin America. Some of them big ones, with Assemblies of God, with the Nazarenes, with the Southern Baptists, you name it. Frontiers, Pioneers, many organizations in Latin America. So we actually did a brochure and send it out to them and say, hey, would you like to partner with us? Do you want to do a strategic alliance? So we could become kind of like an organization in the United States, so you could raise support. You'll be able to have kind of like a backing in the U.S. Yes. And now I can't supervise you, but you have to have a supervisor. So like if you are with Pioneers or you are with this agency. So now I've met hundreds of them that are now applying with us to do that, because there's a lot of missionaries going out to the nations from Latin America. Now they're being trained. Places like in Argentina, now in Honduras, they have training like simple mobilizing is a training that is there, that they're training missionaries, local nationals, not only to send missionaries, but also to support the structure of missions. So training people that will be able to raise support. Some people, like the people I presented today, who are helping me raise support for missions. So we need sponsors and friends that will do that. So in order to do that. Now, the face of missions has a new face. What is the face of new missions? Troublemakers. That's the new face, pretty much. Mission is no longer limited to sending a Western missionary. Right. When you went to Spain, that was a different world. With the missionaries I reach out, first I heard the gospel here. And I was kind of like reach out as an international student. But when I got back home, I needed a church. Well, guess where I ended up? At a church started by a gringo. So he was starting a new church, an American. Well, you know, gringo is not insulting, right, anymore? Okay, because some people think it is, but it's not. Okay, gringo. So a gringo was starting a church, and he was learning the language. And back then, there was not many churches getting started in the people group where I was. So the Latin church is in the process of changing its mentality. This is very important. From one of dependency to one of interdependency. Mm-hmm. From a third world country mentality to a majority world country mentality. Mm-hmm. We cannot say anymore that we're poor. Mm-hmm. We can't. Yep. Not even here. Mm-hmm. I tell our people, I say, you could give. Because I've seen your quinceañeras. I say, I've seen your quinceañeras. You spend $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 in a quinceañera. Right. So you tell me that you don't have money? You do have money. It's just, where do you put that money? Exactly. Is where you need to figure it out. Where are you investing for God's kingdom? Even in Latin America, like the church in Dominican, we have right now, the leader that's there now, that took over when I left, his name is Felix. He was just here a couple weeks ago, and he was telling me there's like 125 employees of the ministry. 125. These are teachers, the water projects, counselors, pastors, you name it, janitors. 125 people who are supported by this structure. That doesn't come from outside the country. It comes from Dominican. So we got people who are giving in Dominican Republic, even to missions. So they're sending missionaries to Haiti. They're working in Haiti. They're sending money to do projects in the Dominican Republic, starting with a school. So the churches in Dominican are pitching together to give for a Christian school. It's the church that I started there, and now they're having to help. But they're also being creative on how money is raised. Like they have a water project. So they sell water. Now they sell water all over the town with 3 trucks that they own. So they're becoming creative. So I think it's important to understand that the church in Latin America, there are big churches in Latin America. Unfortunately, many of them are prosperity gospel churches, and they're not thinking of sharing the gospel to the nations. But I think there's still hope.
And they're led by caudillos.
Yeah, exactamente. We live in unprecedented times. I think God every day raises more and more Latino workers to lead them to fulfill the Great Commission. So there's, like I mentioned, 20,000. There's who know how many missionaries are working now. Now, what have been the advances of the Latino missionary movement on the other side? Number one is the active participation of our pastors in missionary work. I think it's key. People like me and Victor, other missionaries, people who are now working in expanding in other countries, breaking down barriers. Like a country like Dominican, where Haitians and Dominicans don't get along. So that's missionary work right there. We have 2 million Haitians in Dominican. So we got to train the pastors in Dominican to say, hey, you got to welcome the foreigner. Even though Dominicans hate Haitians, you got to knock that down because the church is not the place for hate. Right. So that's kind of things that are happening, especially like Mexico, where there is this rivalry between the affluent and the inditos, they call them, which is very despectivo. Yeah. And they say, okay, and I think there is, like when I was a pastor in Mexico, it was tough because I got people from the north and people from the south. And sometimes they don't get along. Right. It's different cultures. They're very different cultures. So I think it's very important to have an active participation of pastors who are interested in mission work, even in their own communities. Right now, I believe that I'm doing missions just by being a pastor of a Spanish church. Right now, I have people from Guatemala, Mexico from the north, Mexico from the south, Mexico from the centro. We got Venezuelans, we got Dominicans, we got Salvadorians, we got Guatemalans, we got Americans. What else? I think that's it. Venezolanos we do have, yeah. There's the guy who was here, that Venezolano. So we're doing missions right there by just being a pastor there. Now, number 2 is the opening and cooperation with international agencies, with local agencies are being formed, like us. So we are an organization who was established in the United States to help and strategic alliance with organizations outside the country. That's something that the mission I work with, for years they've done it. For 40 years. It's called Missions Door. It's a conservative Baptist mission, and I was appointed as a missionary. Buenos dias. This is my wife, by the way. When I was appointed, we're talking about many years ago that I was appointed, many mission agencies were not appointing nationals. But now, it's a new trend. It's a new thing. Now it's happening, and that's why I think it's important to do more international agencies with local agencies. Right now, Pioneers is trying to establish Pioneers in Mexico to be a sending agency. I don't know if you've heard of Pioneers. Pioneers is a mission agency here, but they're trying to do so. We have a leader I'm actually on the board of Pioneers Mexico now, and we're trying to train Mexicans to go to different Muslim world or different, even with the Tarahumaras. Mm-hmm. There's a guy from Baja California working with Tarahumaras. That's a different culture. So he's trying to learn. There's also groups of people working with sordomudos, with people who are, ¿cómo se dice? Sordomudos? Deaf. Number 3, Comibam, I think, has become an important factor to develop national movements. So their vision of trying to mobilize the Latino community has been great. Actually, there is going to be in 2023, there is going to be a Comibam.
Where?
It's going to be in, ¿dónde fue que me dijeron? Where is it going to be? I think it's El Salvador. No. I can't remember right now. They're bad with announcing things. I went to the website trying to get it. Yeah, can you? I don't think it is on the web. I looked, but I just heard from somebody. It's going to be, I think it's in El Salvador, I think. But it's in 2023. So I think they skipped 1 year because of COVID. It was 2022, so I think they changed to 2023. But I think it's going to be, and that's a great movement. There's big organizations now working together to send more Latinos, missionaries. Actually, Comibam also includes Spain, by the way, because there is a big movement in Spain of missionaries, Latinos, who are coming to, like, I don't know if you know Londoño. He's an Argentinian, and he's in Spain. But Londoño has an incredible work. They're sending missionaries to Muslim countries, like to Morocco, to Marruecos. So they're sending missionaries to all North Africa. Latinos, from Chile, from Argentina, from Mexico, from Dominican, you name it.
And Carlos Madrigal.
Yeah. Well, Carlos Madrigal, I know he's working in Turkey.
Well, he got kicked out, but...
You know Carlos? I know Carlos.
Por 25 años.
Oh, yes, I know Carlos, yes. So where is he now?
In Barcelona.
Oh, because he was in Turkey.
For 35 years.
Yeah.
The government marked his passport that he was a
I didn't know that. I met it many years ago. Yeah, well, those are the great stories of people who've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And just be doing it grassroots, getting people to be, evangelized. Now, number 4, the willingness of candidates and workers to be the voice of the Holy Spirit and their dedication to biblical obedience. This is important because it's not the same for an American gringo, like they call him, to go to the mission than for a Latin American to decide to go to missions. Financial differences is huge. When you have somebody that doesn't have networks, and he say, "Hey, I'm going to trust God, I'm going to go." I mean, there's stories that I hear, people going to the field with only $500. Didn't you mention that? You just mentioned it yesterday. And I've heard that story so many times. So that's just a belief that, no, this God called me. So when Oneida and I went back to Dominican, our support was $300. That was our package. 1985. $300 that I had to raise. I didn't even have people. And I got churches. I got one church that started supporting me with $100. So that was, wow! That's 1/3 of my support. Central Baptist Church. They still support me. 1984, I was there. 1985. So how many years is that? So for a Latin American to be able to race here, no networks, it's hard. It's very hard.
Go to the field, they don't have any support.
They don't. So many leave because one of the challenges is that many of them leave because of lack of support.
Yeah.
And then the other problem we have is huge problem with Latin Americans churches that they forget.
Oh yeah.
They forget the field. They forget the missionaries. They make a commitment for 2 years and they fulfill 1. And then the guy gets stuck or the girl gets stuck. I've heard that so many times. I tell people, if I would have relied only on Latin American churches supporting me, I'll be dead. I'll be hungry. God always supports because, unfortunately, not many do. That's what I want to. I want to be a change. As our church is doing something to change that. So no, we're going to give to missions. We're not going to be always sending, give me. No, we got to do this. We got to go out. So I think that's a willingness to do that. Number 5, more and better resources to train everyone for the specific and punctual involvement in missionary tasks. There are lots of trainings now to train national Latino missionaries to go to the field. Not only in churches they're trained, but also like Simple Mobilizing, Pioneers, Frontiers. All those organizations are training leaders to go to the nations. And they're being trained in Latin America. So, like right now, this guy that I mentioned, Rogelio he's only 60, he's 65. He just retired. Jovencito, I know, but it's still, he's 65. He just left Argentina to go to Honduras.
Good.
Good for him, yes. But he's going to be mobilized in Honduras. Honduras has a lot of churches. But we need to wake up that passion for missions. And that's what I think needs to happen. Okay, number 6, the financial participation of churches committed to the Lord and the search for creative ways to offer. To ofrenda. To give. That's bad translation there. To offer. To give. That's the word. Para donar. So, creativity on how are we going to raise support, like this trucks that sell water, or Christian schools that people pay a little bit of money. And then there's all the ways that people are doing, selling tamales. Or doing a garage sale, like some of our ladies are doing, and to raise support for missions. And some of this mission is from Mexico to do backpacks. We do a project right now that even I have a barber who is Latino from Mexico, and I told him, hey, can you help me get toys from Mexico? He said, sure, bring a box. We'll put them at the barbershop. That's a way to raise support. That is missions. So it's a creative way. So now I put a box with like a big gift bag, and then I put gift toys from Mexico. And now they're not even Christians, and they're already supporting some of the ministry.
That's wonderful.
The extraordinary prayer for the unreached, a better biblical understanding of God's heart for the unreached. I actually forgot to bring this booklet that I was going to bring on praying for the different nations, for different people groups. Because one of the biggest challenges that I think mission has is the thousands of mission groups that has never been reached. Is the unreached. There's thousands of people who live there. 8, we have learned not to work alone, but to cooperate with the workers from different cultures and to make field alliances with other agencies. There are fewer Lone Rangers now than ever before, which before that didn't exist. Now it is happening in Latin America. I think there's more cooperation between Baptists and Pentecostals. Woo! That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Because for years, many Baptists will not work with Pentecostals. But now they're working together with reaching out to the nations. So now you have Pentecostal churches supporting a Baptist pastor who's going overseas from Latin America. So, which is very good. So that's something that I think is great. And not to be a Lone Ranger. Number 9, the intervention of key training agencies in the field that have helped workers who needed support to move forward. It is important to understand that we need partners for Latin America. And that's what I'm trying to do, is that I'm going to raise the awareness, and then God is going to do the rest. Like, when I meet with churches, I say, would you help me support Latino mobilizers? They don't have networks. I'm praising God that some people have donated, so I could bless some people. Like with the donations I'm getting, I'm able to help build the ministry of some people who are going, which sometimes $250 makes a big difference for someone. Like right now, there's a guy we sent $500 because he was going to go to a training in the jungle of Bolivia to train from Dominican and to work in training missionaries who are in Bolivia. And $500 makes a big difference. So that's why I think it's important to do that. The meetings of Latino workers to encourage us in what to do with the work. There's a lot of now in Latin America more than in here, and this is what I'm trying to do here with this Mission Connection is I've told them I want 10% of that goal. So we want 10% of that goal. So that means 5 churches. So if they want 50 churches, I want 5 to be Latinos.
Good.
And if there is, you're thinking of 500, give me 50. 50 Latino missionaries who will go.
Yes.
Do you have 5,000 prayer warriors you're looking for? Give us 500. Let's just do the 550, 500.
Yeah.
Is that possible? I don't know. Is that going to be work? It's going to be work. I don't see right now who is that going to be. So our church is not ready, I think, to send out a missionary. But can we have somebody like you say, okay, you're going to go for 1 year? Wouldn't that be a blessing? That we could send as a church, Experimenta Vida would be able to send a missionary. Maybe with the help of other churches, it will be impossible for us to support somebody full time. But at least if we could say, hey, we are sending one. But let's just be behind this individual.
You're not sending him alone. You're sending
Exactly.
him to work
Do
with
you mind if I sit down?
No.
Okay. So if can you imagine if we could do that? I would think it would be great. Can we get 500 people in the valley to be praying, Latinos to be praying for missions? Well, that's what I'm trying to see if we could start doing that. So I think that's important. When I speak at meetings with, now that I'm part of Surge Latino, also trying to mobilize the Latino community, I always mention the possibility of doing missions. The church in Latin America is realizing that the goal is not just to send workers, but a real commitment, even with the new believers and the planted churches. So I think it's important to the Latin American church to realize that there are already churches there, maybe, because when there is, like if there is a missionary from Dominican going, like this guy who is going to Kyrgyzstan, he's not going as a lone ranger. He's part of a team. It's already there. So he's just not going to come and do whatever he wants. No, he's going to be following the team lead. Like this group that's working in Iraq, there's that I mentioned, 13 of them. They're from different denominations. I asked David, what's the biggest challenge? We lose a lot of missionaries. Why do we lose a lot of missionaries? What do you think it is?
Be one of the main objectives. Sending missionaries is easy. Keeping missionaries on the field is very, very hard.
That's what he said.
It's much harder to keep them there than to send them.
But do you think, let me ask you a question. What is the main reason do you think they leave?
They leave because they don't feel supported.
That's it. That's what he said.
They don't feel supported from home. And they don't feel supported there.
Yep. That's why they said. What does David say? So, well, David, what is the main reason? Lack of support. Lack of support. It's not moral. It's not moral. It's not moral problems. It's not discouragement. It's not that they didn't adapt to the culture. It's not conflict, because that happens. You know that. It happens with missionaries all the time. So you got to go turn some fires because there's characters within the two missionaries who are bouncing heads. But the main reason why they leave is because of lack of support. They feel like they forgot about us.
And their children. They're third culture kids, and nobody is thinking about the children of the Latinos.
It's true. Yeah.
My cousin in Spain is doing camps for TCKs.
Wow.
And they're coming by the hundreds just for Latinos.
Yeah.
You know, because they're...
There is a lot of Latinos. Actually, there's a lot of Latinos now in Spain working as missionaries. Latinos reaching out to the Spaniards. I mean, it's amazing I went with Luis Palau to Spain. I don't remember what year was that. But one of the things that happened is and they told him, Luis, don't do it again. 2005, I think it was. We had a big festival. Guess who came? Latin Americans.
Yeah.
Not a lot of Spaniards. Exactly. Well, but that's one thing he asked the question. How many are here from Spain? 2 people. How many are here from Ecuador? Woo! How many from Chile? Woo! How many from Argentina? Woo! How many Dominicans? Woo! It was like, what? Now Venezuelans. they're coming for the thousands, even here. So I think it's important to understand that better care for workers and their families in the field, and when returning from the field, that's something that it's happening, but it's still, I think, there's work to do. 13 more workers preparing to serve with their professions in the mission field. Like this lady that's in Iraq, she's a doctor. And so that's happening now with English teachers, They're teaching Spanish. They're teaching soccer. Because they're teaching music.
Yeah.
They love Latin American music. so they love the music. Bachata, merengue, they love the music. So now it's a common attraction. So I think what's happening is, I think we have a big challenge as Latin Americans. And now my role, like I see it right now, when I started, I never knew this was going to be happening. Never in my wildest imagination. When I meet with them now, I say, wow, I have a big task. And it's trying to help. How do I empower these Latin Americans? How do I do that? I'm not getting younger. I'm getting older. And now the board has told me, well, we're going to work first with trying to consolidate the operations of the organizations. The board of Global 180.
Okay.
So they told me, hey, you need to, I can't be relying on my support, on just our support. Oneida and I invested half of our pension to start this organization, our savings. And we launch it, and we say, yeah, let's just do this, and we did it. But now the board says, we can't do that. It got to be self-sustaining. And part of it is, how do we raise support for the operations? I call it the frame. So I call it the frame. Without the frame, we can't do it. So I say we need framers, we need funders, and we need friends. So it goes from the core, which are the friends, the people who are praying, these old ladies or these people, or some young people too, who are also praying, just praying and giving once in a while, not with commitment, because a lot of people don't do commitments anymore, they do one time. But then we got those funders. These are people who are supporting a project or a missionary, committing to it. But then you got the frame. Without the frame, we can't have anything. And that's what we're doing. But especially now, helping raise support for Latin Americans is part of our goal, to see if we could send more Latin American missionaries that are already there. Like there's a lady from now leaving from Venezuela to work in Spain. Because there's so many Venezuelans. And she's going to go now and train Venezuelans in Spain. It's crazy what's happening now. Very crazy. So, thank you for being here. I don't know if you have questions. What time is it now?
11:40.
Yeah. So, any questions? Are you excited to see the Mobilizing the Latino community? So tell me about yourself. What are you doing? ¿Cómo hablas español?
Era misionera en España.
Ah, qué bien.
Con Center International. So I was a missionary in Spain. And
How long?
Center International. Just about 6 years. I primarily was a science teacher at the School for Missionary Kids.
There you go.
And then while I was there, God just transformed my total
Worldview. That's wonderful.
2009 to 2015, moved back 2016. And I work in church engagement for Send International to see people of all different backgrounds engaged in God's global mission. So part of that is... Yeah.
You work here? Are you here?
I live in the Philadelphia area. That's where I was born and raised. But yeah, I wanted to connect with you. I'm glad that you already know about Simply Mobilizing, because that's one of our tools, obviously.
Oh, really?
That we're using.
Yeah.
Would really love for you to look into interface for your church.
Okay.
For yourself.
What's it called?
Interface. It's part of the Simply Mobilizing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but it's specifically for pastors and church leaders.
Yeah.
And how they can help think about changing their church to become missional, right? And so,
Yeah,
like you're
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
our church isn't ready yet. Well, is a tool that can help.
That's
to do
great.
That. And then, of course, the Kairos course.
Yeah, yeah.
Love to have, and I guess bilingual especially, like join the Kairos movement here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So we're working already with...
Some of our missionaries are already doing that.
Yeah.
Like Hugo is
Yeah,
a lead.
Hugo
Yeah, well, he's on our team. You know Hugo?
Yes.
He's on our team, and he's a incredible
Yeah.
mobilizer. Hugo is part of. He's the one who's just. My goodness, I said, you are a networker.
Yeah.
This guy has met so many of them. But he said, Joaquin, the need for us to be able to raise support in the United States, because I tell people, it's a math problem. People in Peru, they want support, but they don't have enough money to support a missionary. They don't. So how much money can a church give in Peru? They could maybe give, but not as much as a Latin American church here could give. Like right now, we're supporting 2 missionaries, each for 100, and that's nothing. And you say, well, but at least it's something. $100 in Colombia, it's a lot of money. So, or $100 in Mexico, it's more money. So you're supporting at least some of the needs that they have.
Have you talked with Barry Rempel from my organization, from Send International? So he really works on our side of mobilizing Hispanic from everywhere. So
Is he here?
No, he's not here. He lives in South Carolina.
Okay.
But like we have our first in the U.S. like Gavi, who is in Clarkston, Georgia. We'd love for teams to go be part there because she's bilingual.
Okay.
From El Salvador. She and her husband Christian, they're both from El Salvador. She's a DACA recipient, so she can't go out of this country.
Oh wow.
So she's doing mission.
We're praying for her. Praying that they'll open up.
We're voting on Tuesday, the proposition.
Oh, I know. I hope it goes, because we have one girl that was here.
Yeah.
She will benefit. She's not DACA, but she is still undocumented, and she doesn't have a way to go to college.
Yeah. And that's it.
And she's graduating in a year. So that proposition will help. 308.
I already voted.
Yeah, so they're working with Octon refugees.
That is wonderful.
Clarkston is,
Really, and she's from El Salvador.
she's from El Salvador, and
Es que Dios está haciendo cosas increíbles.
yeah, I think her sending church is in Virginia.
Qué maravilla.
But yeah, we've got another actually El Salvadorian partner couple that's in Macedonia. They are heading up a team in
¿Verdad?
a town that's predominantly Muslim. And so we'd love to see, churches partner with them and send teams or, vision trips or however it is. And
We're actually doing one next year to Spain. We want to do one to Spain as a church.
Para trabajar con Carlos o con quién.
No sé con quién todavía, no tenemos.
Bueno, yo te
Que-
conecto con
Porque andamos buscando.
¿Conoces a Eddie, María Esther Sánchez? They were, her father founded the school. That you
We want to bring 15 Latinos next year to Spain.
yeah,
That's what we're planning.
yeah.
We want to go to Madrid or Barcelona, kind of do a little bit of touring, but at the same time
If you
do some
look
work.
at the Basque Country, we've got Hispanic. They're from Costa Rica and Guatemala. The Iglesias, they're there in the Basque Country, which of course is one of the
Wow. Increíble. It's amazing what's happening now. The world just become so messed up right now. Like it's just can't just have this. This is what's happening.
You know Gustavo Braun in
No.
Madrid? He'd be a good contact for you. I'll send you a...
Okay.
He's with Iglesia Despertar in Madrid.
In Madrid. Yeah, there's a lot of Latin American churches now. So we want to do a little bit more evangelism, and also I want the church to be able to see what's happening in the other side of the world. So that's why we're planning to say we have 15 people that can go. Not all of them can travel, so we're doing some short-term missions here too, in the United States.
in the summer?
No, we don't have.
Because in summer, no quiere decir en verano.
No.
Porque en agosto todos se van de vacaciones y no vas a
Sí,
encontrar
okay.
a nadie.
So when is a good time?
Abril, mayo.
Abril, mayo. Okay, that's
Pero el
right.
verano es horrible.
Verdad,
de
verdad.
turismo.
Okay.
No puedes ni
Okay.
andar.
Abril, mayo. Then after Abril, mayo, what's the other one? What's the other one after that? October?
September, October. Not the summer.
Yeah, the summer. That's what everybody's told me.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Bueno, quizás septiembre, octubre es más fresco.
See,
Octubre es mejor porque no hace tanto calor. Sí, porque sé que ya es mucho.
no, because we have to raise support, so May will be too close. So I think we're going to be raising support, so
Well,
to do it.
really, I mean, Spain has been such a huge tourist magnet for so many years, and now that COVID is going away. Yeah. Even when I lived there 40 years ago, you couldn't walk through El Prado.
No, we did. Ornette and I did it. We went.
Barcelona.
We went. It was crazy.
It was so
Tourism.
many tourists.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, go home. Let's break. We got to break because I got to go have lunch and get something to drink because my throat is already hurting me. Oh, gracias. Oh, mira qué bello. Bueno, vamos a orar. Hermana, por favor, ayúdanos a orar.
Okay.
En español.
Sí. Ay, Padre, te damos tantas gracias
Sí, Señor.
por todo lo que estás haciendo en el mundo de España.
Así es.
Y por los miles de obreros que fueron a Sudamérica hace 60, 70, 80
Así es, Señor.
y por los millones que han aceptado la
Así es,
y ahora
Señor.
están sintiendo ese reto de ser misioneros también. No solamente recibir misioneros,
Así
sino
es.
demandar misioneros. Así que te pido que des fuerzas a nuestro hermano Joaquín y su esposa y a todos los que están trabajando para preparar, animar, enseñar a la iglesia hispana de cómo hacer esto. Y todo esto de esta mañana ha sido una bendición, escuchar de los milagros que estás haciendo y de las bendiciones que la iglesia está experimentando, pero también hay unos retos inmensos. Y te pedimos que escuches nuestras oraciones y que des mucho fruto y que podamos ver más y más hispanos yendo a la obra y que les des fortaleza y coraje para quedarse y el apoyo que necesitan y niños que puedan adaptarse a la cultura y que puedan no simplemente sobrevivir ahí, pero que puedan vivir vidas llenas de gozo y de fruto. Y sabemos que tú puedes hacer todo. Y lo ponemos todo en tus manos. En tu nombre. Amén.
Amén.